Some games entertain you, but a few become legends. These are the worlds that raised the bar, broke the rules, and stayed in our memories forever. From emotional masterpieces to brutal challenges, here are 25 GOAT games every gamer must experience at least once. Red Dead Redemption 2.
Friday night's a while longer.
Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't just one of the greatest open-world games ever made. It feels like a world that existed before you arrived and keeps breathing long after you leave. You step into the worn-out boots of Arthur Morgan, an outlaw caught between loyalty, survival, and the slow death of the Wild West. And without spoiling anything, his journey hits with the weight of a great novel. What makes this game GOAT level is how every piece works together. The muddy towns, snowy mountains, campfire conversations, random strangers on lonely roads, and those quiet horse rides where nothing happens. Yet somehow, everything does. The gunplay is brutal and cinematic. The missions feel like playable Western set pieces, and the characters are written with so much humanity that even small moments stay with you. But the real magic is the atmosphere, the sunsets, the music, the guilt, the brotherhood, the feeling that freedom always comes with a cost. You can hunt, rob, fish, explore, bond with your horse, or just live inside this world for hundreds of hours. Red Dead Redemption 2 earns its legendary status because it doesn't just tell you a story, it makes you carry one.
Me? Here's what I think. Well, you shouldn't have crawled out of your holes today.
You stop right where you are.
Oh, look at you. Pathetic.
You think you can just go wherever you want in Angelo Bronte's territory?
Hey, shut it.
Hey! Isn't this a friend? I think... well... maybe?
All right, simmer down.
Ha ha ha! That was...
Mr. Bronte won't be happy about that.
The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is the kind of RPG that reminds you why video game worlds can feel more alive than most fantasy movies ever could. You play as Geralt of Rivia, a monster hunter searching for someone deeply important to him while being pulled into a war-torn world full of politics, curses, betrayal, and choices that rarely have clean answers. What makes The Witcher 3 legendary isn't just its massive open world. It's the way every village, swamp, castle, and broken battlefield feels like it has history buried underneath it. One moment you're tracking a terrifying creature through the woods, the next you're solving a tragic family mystery, playing Gwent in a tavern, or making a decision that quietly comes back hours later. The combat mixes swords, signs, potions, oils, and preparation, making you feel like a true professional monster slayer instead of just another fantasy hero. But the real power of the game is emotional. Geralt's dry humor, his relationships, the haunting music, the morally gray quests, and the feeling that every monster has a story behind it. With its unforgettable characters, huge replay value, and some of the best side quests ever made, The Witcher 3 earns its GOAT status by turning every choice into a memory.
Blow yourself! Shut up and fight. Don't get feared! Oh, you witch fucker! Coronation! Curses! What's casting curses? Skin off. Right me numbers to work! These hours are
Elden Ring.
Corpse after corpse left in my wake.
Elden Ring is what happens when mystery, freedom, and challenge collide to create one of the most unforgettable adventures gaming has ever seen. From the moment you step into the lands between, the game refuses to hold your hand. And that's exactly what makes it magical. You're not just following a quest marker from one objective to the next, you're discovering ruins, castles, underground cities, hidden bosses, strange characters, and entire nightmares that feel like they were waiting for you in the fog. The story is cryptic, dark, and mythic, built through legends, item descriptions, broken kingdoms, and encounters that make the world feel ancient and wounded. But the gameplay is where Elden Ring becomes legendary. Whether you're using a giant sword, casting spells, building a stealthy assassin, or somehow surviving with pure stubbornness, every victory feels earned. The combat is intense, precise, and incredibly satisfying, especially when a boss that destroyed you 10 times finally falls. And because the world is so open, every player's journey feels personal. Your discoveries, your struggles, your triumphs. Elden Ring deserves its GOAT status because it brings back the pure feeling of adventure. Fear, curiosity, frustration, wonder, and that unbeatable rush when the impossible finally becomes possible. God of War. God of War is one of those rare games that didn't just revive a legendary franchise, it completely redefined what that franchise could be. Kratos was once known mostly for rage, revenge, and gods getting absolutely destroyed, but here we see something far more powerful. A broken warrior trying to become a better father. Set in a harsh, beautiful world inspired by Norse mythology, the game follows Kratos and Atreus on a personal journey that feels simple at first, but slowly grows into something emotional, mythic, and unforgettable. The magic of God of War is how perfectly it blends spectacle with intimacy. One moment you're fighting trolls, ancient beasts, and godlike enemies with the Leviathan axe, one of the most satisfying weapons ever put in a player's hand. And the next, you're listening to quiet conversations between father and son that reveal years of pain, distance, and love. The world feels handcrafted, full of hidden realms, puzzles, lore, and secrets that reward curiosity. The combat is brutal, weighty, and cinematic, but the emotional core is what makes it timeless. God of War earns its GOAT status because beneath all the monsters and mythology, it's really about change, regret, family, and the difficult journey of becoming better than who you used to be.
Almost ready! Watch
out! The Last of Us Part 1. The Last of Us Part 1 is one of those games that proves a story doesn't need to be massive to feel unforgettable. Sometimes all it needs is two broken people, a ruined world, and a journey that slowly tears your heart open. Set in a post-pandemic America where nature has swallowed cities and danger hides in every abandoned building, the game follows Joel and Ellie as they travel across the country for a mission that starts as survival but becomes something much deeper. What makes it legendary is how grounded everything feels. The infected are terrifying, the human enemies are often even worse, and every bullet, brick, bottle, and desperate melee fight feels like a fight you barely survived. But beyond the tension, stealth, crafting, and brutal combat, the real magic is the relationship between Joel and Ellie. Their conversations, their silence, their jokes, their arguments. It all builds naturally until you stop seeing them as characters and start caring about them like real people. The atmosphere is haunting, beautiful, and emotionally heavy, with quiet moments that hit just as hard as the action. The Last of Us Part 1 earns its GOAT status because it's not just about surviving the end of the world, it's about finding something worth living for inside it.
Don't let him get away!
Shit!
That's the way to do it.
Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End feels like the perfect final adventure for a character who spent his life chasing lost treasures, impossible legends, and one more reckless leap before the ground disappears. Nathan Drake is older here, a little more tired, trying to live a normal life. But when his past comes knocking, he's pulled back into a globe-trotting hunt that feels personal, dangerous, and deeply emotional without needing to spoil its best moments. What makes Uncharted 4 legendary is how effortlessly it blends cinematic storytelling with pure adventure game magic. One minute you're climbing ancient ruins, solving puzzles, and exploring forgotten pirate history. The next, you're in a collapsing building, a high-speed chase, or a shootout that feels ripped straight from a blockbuster movie. But beneath all the action, the heart of the game is Nate himself. His relationships, his regrets, his obsession with adventure, and the question of whether a person can truly leave their old life behind. The visuals are stunning, the dialogue is natural, the set pieces are unforgettable, and the quieter moments hit harder than expected. Uncharted 4 earns its GOAT status because it doesn't just give Nathan Drake one last treasure hunt, it gives him the ending he deserved.
That's not good.
Holy shit, he's still alive!
Hop hot! Here, take this! How we doing back then? Not good! Not good at all! Keep shooting! I am! I hate this truck!
Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk 2077 is one of those games that proves a broken dream can still become something legendary when the vision underneath is too powerful to ignore. Night City isn't just a setting, it's a neon-drenched monster, beautiful from a distance and ruthless up close, where every street corner screams style, danger, corruption, and desperation. You play as V, a merc trying to make a name in a city that eats ambition for breakfast, and without spoiling the story, the journey quickly becomes more than chasing fame. It becomes a fight for identity, survival, and control over your own future. What makes Cyberpunk 2077 GOAT-worthy is how deeply it pulls you into its world. The characters feel damaged and real, the side quests often hit harder than main missions in other games, and Johnny Silverhand brings chaos, charisma, and emotional tension to every step of the ride. Gameplay gives you freedom to become a stealthy netrunner, a blade-wielding cyber psycho, a gunslinger, or a walking machine of pure violence. The combat is stylish, fast, and flexible, while the atmosphere is unmatched. Rainy streets, glowing ads, dark clubs, dirty apartments, and dreams sold like products. Cyberpunk 2077 stands out because beneath all the chrome and neon, it's a brutally human story about legacy, choice, and what it costs to matter.
Liquidate him!
Marvel's Spider-Man. Marvel's Spider-Man is the kind of superhero game that instantly understands the fantasy we all had as kids. Not just watching Spider-Man swing through New York, but actually feeling what it's like to be him. From the very first web swing, the city becomes your playground, and every rooftop, alley, traffic-filled street, and sunset skyline feels alive with momentum. But what makes this game truly legendary isn't only the movement, even though swinging through Manhattan is still one of the most satisfying traversal systems ever made. It's the way the game captures Peter Parker as both a hero and a human being. He's funny, tired, hopeful, constantly late, constantly broke, and still trying to save everyone even when his own life is falling apart. The story gives us a spoiler-free but deeply personal superhero journey filled with iconic villains, emotional friendships, tough choices, and moments that remind you Spider-Man's greatest power has always been his heart. Combat is fast, stylish, and creative, letting you mix gadgets, aerial combos, stealth, and pure acrobatic chaos. The world is packed with side activities, collectibles, suits, crimes, and replayable fun. Marvel's Spider-Man earns its GOAT status because it doesn't just make you powerful, it makes you responsible.
I think we have a winner. We're safe now.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Spider-Man. Hey, those are the guys. Get them! Back away from the human collateral, Spider-Man. Not how I thought today was gonna go.
Spider crisis coming through.
I'll break your bones. Get this thing fair!
Halo: The Master Chief Collection.
Alpha locked.
Halo: The Master Chief Collection isn't just one game, it's an entire era of gaming history packed into one legendary experience. This is where countless players first understood what sci-fi shooters could feel like when scale, mystery, music, and pure combat rhythm all came together perfectly. Across Master Chief's journey, you're thrown into a massive war between humanity, the alien covenant, ancient secrets, and threats that feel bigger than any single battlefield. But the magic of Halo has always been in how simple it feels on the surface and how deep it becomes once you're inside it. The weapons are iconic, the vehicles are unforgettable, the alien enemy design is full of personality, and every encounter feels like a sandbox where anything can happen. One moment you're storming a beach with Marines beside you, the next you're driving a warthog through chaos, flying across alien landscapes, or standing alone in a quiet corridor while that legendary music makes everything feel mythic. The Master Chief Collection gives you massive replay value through campaigns, co-op, multiplayer, difficulty runs, and pure nostalgia. Halo earns its GOAT status because it didn't just define a console generation. It gave players a hero, a universe, and a feeling of wonder that still hits hard today.
Tango down. Charlie under attack. Charlie under attack. Fire for effect. Charlie locked.
Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima is one of those games that makes you stop mid-mission just to look at the world, because every field, forest, mountain, and sunset feels like a living painting. Set during the Mongol invasion of Tsushima Island, the story follows Jin Sakai, a samurai forced to question everything he was taught when honor alone may not be enough to save his people. Without spoiling the journey, this is a game about sacrifice, identity, tradition, and the painful cost of becoming the weapon your home needs. The world design is absolutely beautiful, guiding you with wind, birds, foxes, smoke, and natural movement instead of filling your screen with distractions. Combat is sharp, elegant, and deadly, letting you switch stances, parry with precision, challenge enemies in cinematic standoffs, or silently strike from the shadows as the Ghost. But what makes it legendary is the atmosphere. The flute music, the falling leaves, the quiet graves, the duels under burning skies, and the emotional weight behind Jin's transformation. There's also strong replay value through side tales, upgrades, exploration, armor builds, and the incredible Legends mode. Ghost of Tsushima earns its GOAT status because it doesn't just let you play as a samurai, it makes you feel the burden, beauty, and tragedy of becoming a legend.
Animals are caged. To be shipped away.
Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal is not just a shooter, it's controlled chaos turned into pure gaming adrenaline. From the moment the music kicks in and the first demon gets ripped apart, the game makes one thing clear. You are not trapped with the monsters are trapped with you. You return as the Doomslayer, a silent force of destruction tearing through Hell's armies across Earth, ancient realms, ruined cities, and impossible battlefields that feel like heavy metal album covers brought to life. What makes Doom Eternal legendary is how perfectly it understands momentum. You can't just stand still and shoot. You have to move, jump, dash, chainsaw, glory kill, swap weapons, burn armor, manage ammo, and turn every arena into a violent rhythm game. Every demon has a purpose, every weapon has a role, and every fight becomes this beautiful storm of speed, skill, and aggression. The story is mythic and insane in the best way, but the real emotional impact comes from power. That feeling of becoming unstoppable because you earned it through mastery. With brutal combat, incredible level design, killer replay value, and one of the most intense soundtracks in gaming, Doom Eternal earns its GOAT status because it transforms rage into art and violence into a perfectly designed symphony of destruction. Mafia Definitive Edition. Mafia Definitive Edition is the kind of crime story that doesn't need a giant open world full of distractions to feel powerful. It just needs mood, character, and a city that feels like it's hiding secrets behind every streetlight. Set in the 1930s city of Lost Heaven, the game follows Tommy Angelo, a regular taxi driver who gets pulled into the dangerous world of organized crime after one desperate night changes everything. What makes this game stand out is how cinematic and focused it feels, almost like playing through a classic gangster film where loyalty, ambition, fear, and regret slowly tighten around the characters. The story stays grounded, emotional, and spoiler-free enough to enjoy fresh, but it still gives you that rise and fall tension that makes Mafia dramas so addictive. The driving captures the old-school weight of vintage cars, the gunfights feel intense and dangerous, and the city itself has this smoky, rainy, jazz-filled atmosphere that pulls you straight into the era. But the real strength is Tommy's journey. Watching an ordinary man step deeper into a life that promises respect, money, and family, while quietly asking what it will cost him. Mafia Definitive Edition earns its GOAT status because it turns crime into tragedy, style into atmosphere, and a simple story into something unforgettable.
We need help, right away. There's someone injured in Holbrook. Nearby officers, the driver needs finding.
Excuse you?
We found him. Suspect on foot.
Hold it right there, please. Right, that's right. Okay.
We got our eyes on you.
Now I'm gonna be late.
No, you'll be on your way.
Dishonored 2. Dishonored 2 is a masterclass in player freedom, where every mission feels less like a level and more like a beautifully designed playground waiting to be broken, mastered, or quietly haunted by your choices. Set in the sun-soaked but rotten city of Karnaca, the game throws you into a world of political betrayal, strange magic, deadly conspiracies, and elite enemies hiding behind wealth and power. What makes Dishonored 2 legendary is how much control it gives you over the way you play. You can move like a ghost, slipping through windows, rooftops, vents, and shadows without anyone knowing you were there, or you can become a terrifying supernatural assassin, bending time, linking enemies together, teleporting across rooms, and turning every encounter into stylish chaos. The world design is incredible, packed with alternate routes, secrets, overheard conversations, and environmental storytelling that makes every mansion, street, and mechanical nightmare feel alive. The combat is sharp and creative, but the real thrill is planning your approach and realizing the game actually respects your imagination. Whether you choose mercy, violence, stealth, or pure experimentation, the story and world react to your actions. Dishonored 2 earns its GOAT status because it doesn't just give you powers, it gives you possibility.
So let's see. What was it? Hey, Lewis! Come back!
Alan Wake. Alan Wake is the kind of game that feels less like a normal horror story and more like a nightmare you accidentally stepped into while chasing the truth. You play as Alan, a troubled writer who arrives in the quiet town of Bright Falls looking for peace, only for his wife to vanish and his own unfinished manuscript to start coming to life in terrifying ways. What makes Alan Wake legendary is its atmosphere. The foggy forests, lonely cabins, flickering streetlights, strange radio broadcasts, and that constant feeling that something is watching from just beyond the trees. The gameplay is simple but unforgettable, built around light as your greatest weapon, forcing you to burn away the darkness before your bullets can even matter. That one idea makes every encounter tense, cinematic, and different from most horror games. But the real magic is the mystery. The story plays with fear, creativity, guilt, and reality itself, pulling you deeper with every page you find. It's scary without relying only on cheap jump scares, emotional without over-explaining everything, and stylish in a way that still feels unique years later. Alan Wake earns its GOAT status because it turns writer's block into survival horror and transforms a small mountain town into one of gaming's most haunting nightmares.
Just like... I can keep this up forever!
Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is one of those games that feels legendary not just because of what it did, but because of how many memories it created for an entire generation of players. You play as Carl C.J. Johnson, returning home to Los Santos after tragedy pulls him back into a world of gangs, family problems, betrayal, and street survival. Without spoiling the bigger journey, San Andreas starts as a personal story about loyalty and home, then expands into something massive, a full criminal rise across cities, deserts, casinos, corrupt cops, and chaotic friendships. What makes it GOAT-worthy is the insane sense of freedom. You can follow the story, take over territories, customize CJ, hit the gym, learn fighting styles, fly planes, drive across the countryside, gamble, race, cause absolute chaos, or just cruise while the radio turns every street into a memory. The world may look old now, but its personality is timeless. Los Santos, San Fierro, and Las Venturas all feel different, packed with humor, danger, culture, and that classic rockstar attitude. San Andreas earns its GOAT status because it wasn't just a game. It was a playground, a crime epic, a cultural moment, and for many players, the open-world game that made everything feel possible. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is the game that made players realize being an assassin was cool, but being a pirate assassin sailing the Caribbean was something else entirely. You play as Edward Kenway, a reckless privateer chasing fortune, freedom, and a life bigger than the one society tried to give him. Without spoiling the journey, what begins as a treasure-hungry adventure slowly becomes a story about ambition, brotherhood, regret, and the cost of living only for yourself. The real magic of Black Flag is the open sea. Sailing the Jackdaw through storms, attacking enemy ships, diving for treasure, hunting sea creatures, listening to your crew sing shanties, and watching islands appear on the horizon gives the game a sense of adventure that still feels unmatched. The world is colorful, dangerous, and full of hidden caves, forts, jungles, shipwrecks, and pirate legends. Combat mixes classic Assassin's Creed stealth, parkour, sword fights, pistols, naval battles, and boarding actions that make every encounter feel cinematic. But what truly makes it legendary is the feeling of freedom, that intoxicating pull of the ocean, where every wave promises danger or glory. Black Flag earns its GOAT status because it doesn't just let you play a pirate story. It makes you live one.
On your mark, come in! Fire! Shorten sail! Get off the wall! Nice, good shock, crippler! Fire! Let out some sail! Fire! Oh, come on! Hit the bastards! Fire!
Grand Theft Auto 4.
Sorry.
Grand Theft Auto 4 is the rare open-world crime game that doesn't just give you chaos, it gives you consequence. You play as Niko Bellic, an immigrant arriving in Liberty City chasing the promise of a better life, only to find a world built on lies, debt, violence, and broken dreams. What makes GTA 4 legendary is how grounded and heavy it feels compared to the rest of the series. Liberty City isn't just a playground. It feels cold, crowded, dirty, funny, cruel, and strangely real. Every street has personality, every conversation carries frustration or dark humor, and every mission pulls Niko deeper into a life he desperately wants to escape but can't fully leave behind. The driving has weight, the gunfights feel messy and intense, and the physics give every crash, punch, and chase a gritty unpredictability. But the real power is Niko himself, a character shaped by war, regret, loyalty, and the painful belief that maybe money can fix what the past broke. The city is full of side activities, friendships, choices, comedy, crime, and replayable moments, but underneath it all is a surprisingly emotional story. GTA 4 earns its GOAT status because it takes the American dream and shows the cracks, the cost, and the darkness hiding underneath.
We got you surrounded, asshole!
What is it? Hey man, come on, I got kids! You will... Let go! Stay down.
Bloodborne. Bloodborne is the kind of game that doesn't welcome you in. It drags you into the nightmare and dares you to understand it. Set in the cursed city of Yaharnam, a place soaked in blood, madness, gothic beauty, and secrets too terrifying to explain too early, the game begins like a hunt for beasts and slowly becomes something far stranger, deeper, and more horrifying. What makes Bloodborne legendary is its atmosphere. Narrow streets glowing under sickly lanterns, towering cathedrals, distant screams, strange villagers behind locked doors, and the constant feeling that every answer only opens a worse question. The combat is fast, aggressive, and incredibly satisfying, forcing you to stop hiding behind defense and instead push forward, dodge with confidence, and strike back before fear takes over. The trick weapons are iconic, transforming mid-fight and making every build feel stylish, brutal, and personal. Boss fights are terrifying, beautiful, and unforgettable, mixing tragedy with pure adrenaline. But the real magic is how the world tells its story through design, enemy behavior, item descriptions, and quiet horror. Bloodborne earns its GOAT status because it doesn't just challenge your reflexes, it infects your imagination, turning fear, mystery, and violence into one of gaming's most haunting masterpieces. Dark Souls series. The Dark Souls series is not legendary because it's difficult. It's legendary because its difficulty actually means something. These games drop you into dying kingdoms filled with cursed warriors, broken gods, forgotten cities, and creatures that feel like they crawled out of ancient nightmares, then ask you to keep moving forward even when everything is designed to crush your confidence. The story is never handed to you directly. Instead, it hides in ruined castles, cryptic dialogue, item descriptions, boss arenas, and the quiet sadness of a world that has already fallen apart. What makes Dark Souls GOAT-worthy is the feeling of struggle turning into understanding. At first, every enemy feels unfair, every boss feels impossible, and every death feels personal. But slowly, you learn the rhythm. You watch patterns, manage stamina, upgrade your gear, choose your build, and realize the game was teaching you all along. The combat is weighty, tense, and deeply satisfying because every swing, dodge, block, and mistake matters. The world design is unforgettable, full of shortcuts, secrets, and areas that connect in ways that still feel genius. Dark Souls earns its GOAT status because it turns failure into growth, loneliness into atmosphere, and victory into one of the most powerful feelings gaming can give. Sekiro shadows die twice. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is not a game that lets you hide behind builds, overpowered weapons, or endless grinding. It looks you in the eyes and says, learn. And that is exactly why it feels so unforgettable. Set in a brutal, mythic version of Sengoku-era Japan, you play as Wolf, a shinobi bound by loyalty, duty, and a desperate mission to protect a young lord tied to a mysterious power. The story stays focused and personal, but the world around it is filled with ruined castles, snowy valleys, burning temples, strange creatures, and warriors who feel like legends carved into steel. What makes Sekiro legendary is its combat. Every duel is a conversation of blades. Attack, deflect, counter, breathe, and then strike when the moment finally opens. At first, the game feels impossible, but slowly, something clicks. You stop panicking. You start reading enemies. You stop playing like a survivor and start moving like a shinobi. The grappling hook adds speed and verticality, stealth gives you options, and boss fights become some of the most intense tests of skill in gaming. Sekiro earns its GOAT status because it doesn't just reward victory. It makes you transform as a player, turning frustration into rhythm, discipline, and pure satisfaction. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild is one of those games that doesn't just give you an open world, it teaches you to trust your own curiosity. From the moment Link steps out into Hyrule and the land stretches endlessly in every direction, the game makes one thing clear: you are free. Not fake freedom, not checklist freedom, but real discovery-driven adventure where a mountain in the distance, a strange light in the sky, or a quiet ruin half hidden in grass can become your next story. Without spoiling anything, the world is broken, beautiful, and filled with memories of a kingdom that fell, giving the journey a soft sadness beneath all the wonder. The gameplay is built on experimentation, climbing almost anything, gliding across valleys, cooking meals, solving physics-based puzzles, fighting with fragile weapons, using the environment, and turning simple ideas into creative solutions. Combat can be clever, chaotic, or graceful depending on how you approach it. And the world rewards players who observe instead of just follow markers. Breath of the Wild earns its GOAT status because it brings back the childlike magic of adventure. The feeling that every hill, storm, shrine, and secret is yours to discover.
Rivali's Gale is now ready.
Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 feels like one of those rare RPGs that arrives with its own identity. Beautiful, tragic, stylish, and immediately unforgettable. Set in a haunting fantasy world where a mysterious paintress marks an age every year and erases everyone who reaches it, the story follows Expedition 33 as they set out on what may be humanity's last chance to end the cycle. That premise alone is chilling, but what makes the game feel GOAT-worthy is how it blends emotional storytelling with a world that looks like a moving painting. Every location feels dreamlike and dangerous, filled with strange beauty, melancholy, and that constant feeling that time is running out. The characters aren't just party members with abilities. They feel like people carrying fear, hope, grief, and the pressure of knowing this journey might be their final stand. The combat is one of its strongest hooks, mixing turn-based strategy with real-time dodges, parries, and timing-based attacks, making every fight feel stylish, tense, and personal. The atmosphere is elegant but heavy, the music feels emotional, and the world begs to be explored. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 earns its GOAT status because it doesn't just chase nostalgia. It reminds us that modern RPGs can still feel bold, artistic, heartbreaking, and completely fresh. Disco Elysium. Disco Elysium is one of the greatest RPGs ever made because it proves you don't need dragons, guns, or massive battles to create something unforgettable. Sometimes all you need is a broken man, a dead body, and a city drowning in history, politics, regret, and pain. You play as a detective who wakes up with no memory, no dignity, and possibly the worst hangover in gaming, then slowly pieces together not only a murder case, but the ruins of his own identity. What makes Disco Elysium legendary is its writing. Every conversation feels sharp, funny, tragic, philosophical, and painfully human, while your own thoughts argue inside your head like a chaotic team of detectives, demons, and bad life choices. There's no traditional combat, but every dialogue choice can feel like a battle against shame, addiction, ideology, ego, or the truth you don't want to face. The world of Revachol is dirty, beautiful, political, and unforgettable, filled with characters who feel painfully real. Replay value comes from different skills, choices, personalities, and ways to completely reinvent who your detective becomes. Disco Elysium earns its GOAT status because it turns failure into storytelling, investigation into self-discovery, and role-playing into something raw, hilarious, heartbreaking, and completely unlike anything else in gaming.
Everything is cool between you and this guy. He's a big fan. Make some small talk.
No, I'm not the bartender. I'm the cafeteria manager.
He's very animated all of a sudden. This seems like a touchy subject. This is the Great Skua. The seabird is the symbol for the discovery of the Insulindian, the small steel tags.
Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 2 is the kind of sci-fi RPG that makes space feel dangerous, emotional, and deeply personal all at once. You return as Commander Shepard, pulled into a mission so risky that the entire game feels like you're building a team for one impossible shot at survival. Without spoiling the story, what makes Mass Effect 2 legendary is how much it understands the power of characters. The galaxy is full of politics, alien cultures, crime hubs, ancient mysteries, and moral gray areas, but the heart of the game is your crew. Flawed, loyal, broken, funny, dangerous people who slowly become more than squad mates. Every loyalty mission feels like a window into someone's past, and every conversation aboard the Normandy makes the ship feel less like a vehicle and more like home. The combat is sharper and more cinematic than before, mixing cover shooting, biotic powers, tech abilities, squad tactics, and intense firefights that keep the pace exciting. But the real replay value comes from choices. Who you trust, how you lead, what kind of Shepard you become, and how prepared you are when everything finally matters. Mass Effect 2 earns its GOAT status because it turns a galaxy-ending threat into something intimate. A story about leadership, sacrifice, friendship, and the crew you'd follow into the dark.
No pain, Shepard. Your form is fragile. We are your genetic destiny.
I can take you on.
Scoped and dropped! It stayed.
The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim.
You're trespassing. You better clear out.
The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim is one of those games that feels less like something you finish and more like a world you disappear into. You arrive in the frozen land of Skyrim during a time of dragons, civil war, ancient prophecies, and old powers waking beneath the mountains. But the real magic is how quickly the game stops being just about the main quest and becomes your own personal legend. One player becomes a warrior in heavy armor, another becomes a sneaky archer, a powerful mage, a thief, an assassin, a wandering alchemist, or somehow all of them in one chaotic life. The world is massive, harsh, and unforgettable. Snowy peaks, underground ruins, haunted caves, Nordic tombs, peaceful villages, dangerous forests, and cities full of politics, secrets, and strange quests waiting around every corner. Combat may be simple, but the freedom is what makes it legendary. Shouting dragons out of the sky, crafting your build, joining factions, collecting artifacts, modding the game endlessly, and starting over just to live a completely different life. The music alone can make a mountain walk feel heroic. Skyrim earns its GOAT status because it gives players something rare. Not just a story to follow, but a world where every adventure feels like it belongs to you. And that's our list of 25 GOAT games you absolutely must play. Now tell me, which game deserves the #1 spot? Drop your pick below and don't forget to subscribe for more legendary gaming lists.